Hello, welcome back to Algebra 1. Here we're going to go a step further and we're going to talk about simplifying fractions. Turns out every fraction problem you do, when you get the answer, you try to simplify it into the lowest representation that you can. So for instance, we'll just take an example. The fraction 4/8. Okay? What we do when we check to see if a fraction is fully simplified is we ask ourselves the following really important question. Can I divide the top number and the bottom number by something and that will go an even number of times or a whole number of times into the top and the bottom? So let me rephrase that one more time. I can divide a fraction by anything I want, any number I want, as long as I do it to the top and the bottom. You can imagine this fraction line as almost like a seesaw or a balance, with a pivot in the middle, like you have some balance point here, and you have something over here like a block and something over here. You see, the fraction is kind of nice and balanced, right? So I can keep the same balance if I add a block over here as long as I add the same block to the other side. And that's kind of how fractions are. This fraction is 4/8. I can do whatever I want to it, divide it, or actually even I can multiply the top and bottom if I wanted to, by anything I want, as long as I do it to the top and the bottom, because then in that case it remains balanced. It represents the same thing. So in this case, 4 and 8, I know right away I can divide the top and bottom both by 4. So I can say I can divide the top by 4, and I can divide the bottom by 4. You see what I've done here? I've just taken the 8 and the 4, and I've divided the top by 4 and the bottom by 4. And so on the top, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and on the bottom, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So what we are saying here is that the fraction 4/8 represents exactly the same amount of stuff as the fraction 1/2. And when you think about it, that makes sense, because the fraction 1/2 is like half of a pie. I cut the pie in two pieces, I only take one. That's half of a pie.